Through the generous contribution of Dr. Lewis's family, we're very fortunate to be able to share with you these timeless recordings of Dr. M. W. Lewis, a self-realized American yogi. Dr. Lewis was Paramahansa Yogananda's first American disciple and dearest personal friend. The wisdom Dr. Lewis imparts through these teachings will give you a dynamic and practical insight into the ancient science of yoga as taught by Paramahansa Yogananda. This lecture's title is All Men Shall Rise Again, and was delivered in San Diego, California on April the 6th, 1958.
Now our subject this morning, all men shall rise again. All men shall rise again. Resurrection means rising again, renewal, restoration. Understand that aspect of resurrection. Renewal, restoring. That's the thing. We're not getting something new. We're not resurrecting a new consciousness. We have had it. We have had it for ages, but we've lost it. You take in the criminal, in the murderer, in the person who has sunk into the depths of this worldly consciousness still. Does he not change? Can he not change? Can he not become a real son of God? Read about the saints. Their lives were not the most to be desired, but look what they became. Look at St. Paul, a murderer, became the great St. Paul. And so understand that we are simply renewing something within us when we resurrect that consciousness of which Jesus had, the Christ consciousness which Jesus manifested. And so we have simply lost contact with our eternal nature. We have had that. It is right within us. It is within every one. Why? Because our soul has become attached to this body, that's all. Our soul has been identified with something that is changeable, transient, and passes away, but still within each and every one of us is the presence of God. That's what we have to renew. That's what we have to resurrect. Not something we have to make over or find. It is there. Renew that consciousness by right meditation and contacting God and surrendering to God's great love. And so, realize what is it that rises again? It is your soul consciousness. From the Gita, we have these following words. It is soul consciousness, or unborn, always was, eternal, does not perish, perpetual, undying. It perishes not in the perishable body. That's from the Bhagavad Gita, one of the greatest scriptures. And our Master has this to say about the same soul consciousness, which we read in his autobiography and his teachings. The soul, not the body, is made in the image of God. Surely it is not this body. It passes away. It gives us all sorts of trouble. That's not the image of God. The image of God is his presence within us, the soul consciousness. And so the Master goes on to say, nothing decays. It merely changes form. It is attached to the body. Therefore, it is subject to its changes and its limitations. Understand that. It is the soul attached to this body. And as the body changes and passes away at death, the soul identified with it loses its continuity of consciousness and passes into unconsciousness. It is still there. But what good is it unless we know it dynamically, unless we know the presence of God in a dynamic way? We have one reference here. At this time, St. John, the 8th chapter, 31st and 32nd verses, then Jesus said to those which believed on him, if ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make ye free, and death shall not touch you again. And so realize it is that if we can remain unceasingly in the Christ consciousness within, which Jesus manifested so completely, if we can by meditation and especially by the love of God make that dynamic to our consciousness, then we will never lose our oneness with God. The presence of God will be a reality. You will have renewed, resurrected, restored what you truly are, children of God, one with his great consciousness. And so, understand that we had that. We had that immortal consciousness. We had it in a dynamic way, but we lost it. We lost it. Why? Because we were taken up with iniquity, which simply means attachment to this body and worldly conditions. That's all. Sin is nothing but that. The minute in meditation you rise above this body consciousness and feel the love of God, there's no sin. Sin cannot exist. Iniquity never was in his presence. Iniquity is in this outward consciousness. And so in Ezekiel, what do we read? Ezekiel, the 28th chapter, just the gist of the 13th to 16th verses, to show that we have had that consciousness, otherwise we could never restore it. Unless it was in us, we could never restore something that has never been there. It is there, it always has been. We've forgotten it. We've overlooked it. And so in Ezekiel, this is what we read. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. The holy mountain is where God dwells, in the supreme center of the brain. Your inspiration doesn't, your high inspiration or spiritual inspiration doesn't come from sensation. A meal is good. Intellectual discourse is good. That won't give you God. But where is your consciousness when you think of God and you feel his great love? It's in the upper part of your spine and brain, especially in the thousand-rayed lotus and in the heart center. That's what it means. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thou walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. The stones of fire are the spiritual centers of the cord, the spinal cord, and the brain, which make man able to express divinity. We're different. We're created in the image of God.